I had seen like one common thread that was the bank always won. And then I had a call from a friend who was acquiring a $4 million portfolio. When he got to the closing table, the seller asked him for more money. They asked for like another $500,000. And that turned into a 3-year litigation battle where then he finally got a judgment from the court to purchase the portfolio. And he had run out of money litigating against the seller. And so he called me and said, "Hey, Nick, I need to find $4 million to close this portfolio and I need to do it fast." Within 24 hours, I had a lender lined up for him and we were able to close that deal for him.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pro Show. I'm your host, Erika, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Nick Price. He's been making waves in the lending and investment space. Nick, it's awesome to have you here today.
Thanks, Erica. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So let's jump on in, Nick. For those who don't know you yet, give us the rundown. How did you get started in real estate?
Yeah, so I got started in real estate in kind of like it was a unique way for me. I was a entrepreneurship major in college, and I started building businesses while I was in college. And while I was building businesses, I was always working in hospitality. And I worked at a country club, and there was a lot of high net worth and kind of like affluent people that were there. And so I kept asking them like, "Hey, how do I, make wealth over time? How do I do this? How do I be here at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday talking to a young kid and explaining what I do?" And they all kind of had the same like guidelines. It was like, "Hey, I either started a business or I got into real estate." And so I already had the like entrepreneurship background from being in the program, but then I started really doing a deep dive into real estate. And then that turned into me taking a job to work with a real estate team where I started as a listing coordinator. Then I became a transaction coordinator. And then I became the director of tech and marketing for the real estate team. And I started helping the real estate agents basically do their online marketing, building up their social presences and working on their online systems and CRMs and everything like that. And then that turned into, wow, everybody else is making a lot more money than me because I'm just operating as like an employee and not as a sales agent. So then I went and studied and I got my real estate license in 2019. And then I eventually got my broker's license in 2023. But in the beginning of 2020, I got the opportunity to go start working on shared housing projects with a guy who was in private equity. And I wanted to learn that side of the business because I knew about like the transactional sales side, but I didn't really know about the investment and assets under management side. So I started working in shared housing, and we basically went from 3 houses to $11 million in assets under management with 115 units in that business. And then I got my broker's license to start doing additional property management. And then I got into the lending business after I saw an opportunity there as well.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about the lending. What was that moment that, sparked your interest in lending?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So I had always had an interest in lending, and I had always seen like watching real estate transactions, pretty much like doing all the acquisitions and build outs and then the refinances on the shared housing products. I had seen like one common thread that was the bank always won. And so that really interests me about the lending side of the business. And then I had a call from a friend who was acquiring a $4 million portfolio, and he basically went to go close on it in 2021. And when he got to the closing table, the seller asked him for more money. They asked for like another $500,000 on top of what his purchase price already was. And that turned into a 3-year litigation battle where then he finally got a judgment from the court to purchase the portfolio. And he had run out of money litigating against the seller. And so he called me and said, "Hey, Nick, I need to find $4 million to close this portfolio and I need to do it fast." And so I basically got on the phone, and within 24 hours, I had a lender lined up for him that I knew, a private lender, and we were able to close that deal for him. And now he's working on the refinance of that portfolio. And so that's what got me into building the First Lending Network.
That's really exciting. And then, going forward, what was that journey like building First Lending Network?
So it's been really fun because it's kind of like it's two parts. Like there's the educational side where I know a bunch of lenders locally that are either private money lenders or debt and property capital allocators. So they do large developments over $5 million. And so I started just building this network of all these lenders that I know locally, which then turned into a list of national lenders, and it's been really fun. Like this past week, I've gotten some really great leads that have come into First Lending Network for people looking for financing, anywhere from a guy that runs a GC firm that's now looking to do flips on his own, and he wants to use private money to kind of scale out his business, to some guys in Texas that are looking to do a cash out refinance on these properties that they flipped. And they're looking at potentially turning them into shared housing and then refinancing with a DSCR loan. And then I got a $33 million ALF development just north of here. So it's really fun because it's like I get to see all these awesome deals and then help people turn their deals into reality by pairing them with the right lender.
Yeah, yeah, that's exciting. And I'm sure it's rewarding to see too.
But yeah, it's definitely rewarding. It's I think when you can help empower people to make their dreams come true, that's the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on the one hand, it's very rewarding. You're really satisfied with it. I have to ask, what would you say is the biggest challenge with running a First Lending Network? What challenges do you see?
Um, the biggest challenge is probably competing directly against lenders, because people can always go directly to lenders. But what I like the best about what we do is, since we have such a huge network of lenders, we're able to kind of shop out private money. Whereas if you were to go direct to a hard money lender or a private lender, that's your only option unless you do the shopping on your own. But I've noticed that a lot of people don't do that. They just go with the first person they find. They find a really good hard money lender, and then they stay with them for a long time. But what we do is we provide the knowledge base and the access to the lenders to help them have more than one option. So whether it's hard money, it's DSCR, a commercial refinance, land acquisitions, whatever the case may be, or even these larger developments, that's where we provide the value.
Yeah, that's really exciting and it sets you guys apart. For someone who's new in investing and they're not really familiar with how lending goes, what kind of advice would you give them?
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
I would say vet your lenders. There's a lot of people that say that they can fund deals and then you get to like the end of the deal and they can't fund it. So finding out like if you're new to investing and you're going to use private money and you're going to put an earnest money deposit down on a property to buy, like you need to make sure that that lender's ironclad because you don't want to lose your earnest money deposit because the lender falls out. So that'd be my biggest. That's why I like what we do because we vetted everybody. So all the guys that we know that are in our network, we know that they're lenders that can actually lend, and they're not just like talking.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Nick, I want to talk a bit about some of the projects that you're involved in with the co living spaces. Can you share more about that? How you got interested in that with investing?
Yeah, so co-living was really interesting to me because from my entrepreneurial background, a lot of things that I've done, like there's a little bus up here. I was part of a hackathon called Startup Bus, where people get on a bus and they build businesses in 72 hours, and you basically just have your backpack and your duffel bag. So I've always just kind of had that's kind of been me, like I don't have a ton of things. I have things here in my office, but I don't have like a ton of like worldly possessions. So I always love the idea of being able to be like easy, it's easy to move when you have less things. And what I really fell into love with shared housing and co-living was basically you're living in a community with other people that are kind of like you, that are in similar stages in life, and everything's provided. So in co-living and shared housing, you get furnished. Most of the time it's a furnished bedroom, it's all utilities included. There's cleaning services. Some brands have events, some brands don't. So everything is kind of included in that amount that you pay for rent, and it's half the market rent because you're sharing, right? It's part of the sharing economy. So that really sparked my interest from like an end user role. And then when I started seeing how much more gross cash flow you could get from co-living versus a traditional rental, that really sparked my interest because, some of these houses are, let's say you have a 6 bedroom house, and that 6 bedroom house may have been a 4 bedroom house before, and a 4 bedroom in that zip code rents out for 2,500, 2,800. But with the shared housing, you could get $6,000 in gross rental income. And so it becomes kind of a cash flow machine for the investors. And so that's really what piqued my interest about it. It was like twofold. It was like the end user side where I see the benefit and the social impact and how it's helping people. And then from the investment standpoint, I saw, wow, this is a great opportunity to make cash flowing assets.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Where are your co-living projects?
So all the co-living that I've been involved in is in the Tampa Bay area. I'm now working with another group that does co-living, and they work with investors, and we're doing more in the Tampa St. Petersburg area, and then looking to scale out into the Orlando, Jacksonville areas.
That's really exciting, Nick. For anyone who's interested in getting into this themselves, what would be like your number one tip with doing a co-living space?
Um, Learn everything you can about co-living before you do it. Um, there's some great operators now that are marketplaces that help people kind of do all the interpersonal issues. Um, I had to learn the hard way of dealing with multiple personalities in a house and not having kind of like a much larger marketplace that could find people and do that. We had to build all our own systems and pair people together and learn about interests and things like that. But like right now, there's Pad Split, which I'm sure some of the viewers probably have heard of Pad Split. They have 22,000 units nationwide, and they've really built a great system for co-living. So that would be like check out everything on Pad Split. The group I'm working with is called Scale Your Real Estate, and they teach people how to do co-living. That's another great group.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
There's tons of documentation online. There's Co-Live, which is a kind of like an online community for co-living operators all over the world. Because co-living is not like a new thing. It exists in Asia and Europe, pretty like commonplace. It's just newer to the United States.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting. Nick, when it comes to investing or with building your lending business, have there been any networking or real estate groups that have been very valuable to you with your growth?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a ton of online communities that I think have been really great for me. A lot of stuff on Facebook. There's a lot of like hyper local Facebook investor groups, especially in like the Tampa St. Pete market, and then in the Florida market. Those have been really great. I've made a lot of connections through that. I've gone to a lot of meetups that are like I just went to a really great meetup last night that is called the Elite Investor Mindset Group. And that was 300 plus investors from the Tampa Bay area, and just you're just networking and meeting people, and that was a really great event. That's probably the biggest one that I've been to ever. Usually they're like 10, 15, 30 people, 40 people, and that was 300 plus people. So that was a really cool one with a lot of value, especially for new investors that haven't done a lot of investments. They provided a lot of really great value. Um, and then just I go to a lot of networking events that aren't real estate specific, because I find that a lot of times where I find investors is not necessarily at a real estate group, because at the real estate group, everyone is an investor, but they're investing for themselves, and they might not be the type of investor that I'm looking for, who's more like, the high W-2 earner that doesn't know to invest in real estate. So that's been, those groups have been really good for me. Like, I've gone to MPIs, I've gone to BNIs, I've gone to chamber events. I've done a bunch of networking, and really usually the ones that I find that have been the best for me to like work with as an investor, I've found like through doing deals actually. So that's probably, one of my biggest pieces of advice is once you start doing deals, you start meeting the right people.
Yeah, that's really cool. Nick, I want to shift and talk about the market a little, which, I'm sure you have an interesting perspective with working on your own properties and then also being a part of lending. How do you assess risk, and how does that influence what kind of properties you go after?
Yeah, so I always look at risk for like my personal investing is this going to cause a headache more than it's going to be good for me? Is one of the main things I look at, and then particularly in where we're at right now, we're having a lot of issues with insurance and taxes, just because the taxes are going up and insurance is going up. So that's kind of shifted my acquisition model a lot. It's lowered a lot of the prices that we're sending out for things that we want to buy and invest in. But yeah, I mean, looking at it from a standpoint of like, hey, if this is going to become a long-term rental, what's my actual holding cost going to be? Am I going to, if my property insurance goes up by 25%, if my utilities goes up by 25%, if my homeowner's insurance goes up by 25%, like, are my numbers still going to work? And so when I'm doing my underwriting, I'm trying to be as conservative as possible, because I want to make sure that anything that we put money into, it's going to be a good investment for us in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And with all the work that you've done, I'm sure you got a few stories there. Was there a moment with your career where a deal went sideways, or maybe you had to pivot fast with what you were doing with lending? Do you have a story like that?
I bought a house that I thought was a house that was a mobile home.
Okay.
And that was pretty crazy. That was like when I first got started in real estate. It was a cash deal, and we paid all cash for it. And it looked like a house, like it looked like a single family home. They had kind of built a makeshift foundation around it and put it on pilings. And so that was kind of a big uh-oh for me. That was like really early on in my investing career. I was working with a partner, and we bought this house that ended up being like, we're starting to do demo, and you're pulling out the walls and you're literally seeing the metal from the mobile home. Um, and so that was terrifying, because the whole point was to buy it, flip it, and then sell it or refinance it. So we ended up refinancing it and putting a renter in it, but we had to go through a long process on that property. So since it had already had a foundation kind of built around it, we worked with the city in that jurisdiction to work with a structural engineer and put in like structural engineer drawings, put in the permanent foundation, and get it reclassified as a single family home so that we could put a renter in and refinance it. And so like it was one of the scariest moments of my life, but then it was also like one of the biggest learning experiences of my life in terms of due diligence and knowing what you're buying. So that was a pretty scary moment for me, but it all ended up good.
Yeah, yeah, wow. What did you take from that experience? Did you change something about your process going forward?
Yeah, I don't do 0-day inspection periods anymore. I'll never do that again. And we do a much deeper dive on due diligence. So every property we're buying, I'm walking, I'm looking under the foundation, I'm doing everything that I can. Even if I bring an inspector out to do the home inspection, I'm there every time, walking it, making sure everything's good, making sure everything lines up with what they said, making sure I have enough timeline in the inspection period to make sure the deal is good. But really, it's been like a heavier due diligence, like double, triple, quadruple checking everything and going above and beyond on due diligence.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, for our listeners who are interested in getting into the lending space, what's one piece of advice that you give?
For they want to be lending as like a lender.
Mhm.
So there's a really good book that I read called Lend to Live. That would be a great book for anyone that's looking to get into lending, because it kind of gives you some skills on how to like lend out your own money. Um, and then my other piece of advice would be due diligence again, because if you're going to lend your money on a deal, like these deals need like the last thing you want to do and I know like there's some people have an argument here on like, well, if they don't pay, then I can just take the property. But like, you're not in the business of lending to take properties back, right? And taking properties back can be a lot more work than it's really worth. So I would say if you're going to lend your money to someone who's going to do a deal, make sure you know all the intricate details of that deal, because you don't want to take that property back and have to finish construction or finish the flip and resell it or whatever the case may be. Unless that's what you want to do is acquire real estate in that way. But the reason you're a lender is to make money off your money, not to take properties back.
Yeah, absolutely. That was so interesting how that tied into earlier, Nick. What would you say is on the horizon for you? You got a game plan with First Lending Network, or different projects that you want to take on with investing?
Yeah. So in the horizon for me is just to continue building First Lending Network and be able to provide investors with knowledge in regards to all the different types of private money that's available for them. And we want to do that on a national scale. And then for my own personal investing, right now I'm working on a 24 unit development with some investors. And then we're looking at acquiring some pieces of land and doing new construction. And that's pretty much it. It's build the First Lending Network, continue to help investors, utilize private capital to buy more deals and do more. Or if they want to build larger developments, like we have partners that can help with that as well.
That's exciting, Nick. Hey, before we let you go, if someone wants to connect with you, learn more about your lending business, or maybe they want to explore a deal with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, so I'm posting on all the different social media pages all the time through First Lending Network. So if they wanted to reach out via, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, I'm posting everywhere there. We just started our YouTube page and we're posting stuff there as well. And then they can find me on social. I have a couple different social media pages, but the easiest one to do is to just reach out to firstlendingnetwork.com. My email is nick@firstlendingnetwork.com or find me on social. I'm really active on LinkedIn, so if you just look up Nicholas Price First Lending Network on LinkedIn, that's a really easy way to get in touch with me.
Awesome. Nick, this has been fantastic. Thanks for sharing your insights and doing things the right way in this space.
Awesome, thank you, Erica.
And for everyone listening, if you got value from this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the Real Estate Pro Show. We've got more episodes lined up with operators like Nick who are building incredible real estate businesses. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.